Hopefully this one is better. I don't have high hopes. These are generally bad. Hello and welcome to my reaction channel. Today, this is part 11 of my reaction series to the anime How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift? Currently reacting to episode 2 of this anime. If you are new here, my name is Max Hall and I react to anime with a combination of humor and fitness advice. So if I get a chuckle out of you or you learn something new in today's video, please consider doing me a favor by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on notifications. Without further ado, let's get started.
It's way more efficient to work your larger muscles before moving on to smaller ones. Start with legs or back.
Okay, so I actually genuinely really like this advice of starting with your larger muscles and then working your way to your smaller muscles. Now, this isn't always the case 100% of the time. There is some specific use cases where you might want to start with like your biceps and then go on to your back or something like that. But generally, working the larger muscle groups like your back or your legs is more tiring and more taxing, which generally means that if you're going to work them, you should work them first, because the larger the muscle is, the more energy it takes in order to work that muscle because of all the little fibers contracting and relaxing and expanding, I guess you could say. All of that takes energy. And with the larger muscles, there's more fibers that need to contract and expand as you're doing the exercise. Therefore, more energy is needed. So you're going to be the freshest and you're going to have the most energy, the most fuel to be able to do these exercises early in the workout. You're going to be able to push them harder. And this is going to be great for being able to slowly work your way to the smaller muscle groups that require less energy in order to be able to put as much effort into them, if that makes sense. Now, I'm going to add on to this a little bit that not only do you want to work bigger muscle groups, you want to work compound exercises first and then work your way to isolation exercises. So again, there's some specific use cases where this might not be the case, but generally what this means is that you want to start with an exercise that moves more than one joint at a time, and then move your way to exercises that are more single jointed. So let me give you an example of this. If you're doing a back and bicep day, then you probably want to start the workout with some kind of rowing exercise, an exercise where you're pulling and you're moving the shoulder joint and the elbow joint. And then near the end of the workout, you're going to want to do more single joint exercises where you're just moving the elbow joint. You're doing a bicep curl. So practically what this might look like on a back and bicep day is you might start the workout with some kind of seated cable row. You might then go on to some type of lat pull down. Then you might go on to like a straight arm pull down where you are just moving the shoulder joint, working the back muscles, the lats. And then you might go on to like a dumbbell bicep curl where you are just moving the elbow joint. You started off with 2 compound exercises, one that was a horizontal pull that involved the shoulder and the elbow joint, and then a vertical pull that involved moving the shoulder and the elbow joint. And then you moved to 2 isolation exercises, one that involved moving just the shoulder joint, and then one that involved moving just the elbow joint.
We'll start out doing lat pull downs.
What's a lat pull down?
Machio's muscle lesson of the day.
I am not excited for this muscle lesson. If anybody has not seen any of my earlier parts of this series, you can check the link up here. I think I got it right this time. If not, it's up here. I don't know. It's on one of these sides. But I will link you to the start of the series and you can go through and you can watch. But at one of the parts, I can't remember which part it was. Maybe I'll look it up later and I'll link it on either of the sides. But in one of the earlier parts, when we got a earlier rendition of Machio's muscle lessons, and he was showing us the bench press, I absolutely ripped it to shreds. So hopefully this one is better. I don't have high hopes. These are generally bad. I think we got a squat one too. That was also bad. I'll link the bench press one, but I've yet to have a positive experience with one of these Machio muscle lessons. Generally, not a big fan.
I'm here to show you the best ways to use the lat pull-down machine. Let's start with front pull-downs. Make a goalpost with your arms. Reach up and grab the bar, and pull it down to your mid-chest line while leaning back slightly. Slowly return the bar to its original position without relaxing your grip. Intensify the isolation by squeezing the shoulder blades together as you pull down and keeping them engaged as you return the bar. Lat pull-downs are great for working central back muscles like the latissimus dorsi and the teres major.
I guess out of the Machio muscle lessons we've gotten, this is probably my favorite, I guess. The one I least hate. Oh, my tits are hanging out. It's the one I hate the least. Okay, let's break this down. I think there's a couple parts to this. So, one, showing off the latissimus dorsi. Why did she have to? Why was the minor naked? I get it. It's Japan. Let's move past that for a second. The actual exercise advice. So, one part that I'll agree with here is the leaning back part of it. I think sometimes people, personal trainers, like to overemphasize the idea of like trying to like stay straight up and down with a lat pull down, but like if you do a lat pull down and you don't lean back at least a little bit, it's just gonna like cut you in half, like come down on top of your head, like you're in some like Final Destination movie type like scenario. Yeah, that gym Final Destination, not fun. Don't cut yourself in half with the lat pull down bar. So you do need to lean back. I like that part. Aiming for the mid chest is another thing that was said there. I don't agree with that. And I think what I saw in this too, and if editor Cole, if you could please include like the image of while she's doing the lat pull down in a little bit here, I'll, as she's doing it, she has her elbow position and her wrist position don't match up. So I firmly believe that if you want to get the most out of a lat pull down, you should try to keep your wrist and your elbow stacked on top of each other. I believe that's how you're going to generate the most power, you're going to pull the most weight, and you're going to get the best lat contractions. So if you do a lat pull down and you pull it towards your mid chest, at some point in time, your wrist is going to come in front of your elbow. And that's what we see with Hibiki doing the exercise. Hibiki? Whichever one of them is demonstrating the exercise in the video. Their wrist is coming in front of their elbow because they're aiming for the mid chest. I didn't love that in the describer video, the demonstration video. I think that was genuinely pretty wrong as far as like showing it. And I think that really stems from the explanation of aiming for the mid chest. Instead, I would like to see people aim for kind of the top of the collarbone kind of where the neck and the chest meet. I find that's generally a pretty good aiming point. And in order to get there, again, Final Destination, we don't want to cut ourselves in half. You're going to have to either lean back a little bit or you're going to have to arch your back a little bit. Both are fine. And I actually think a lot of people kind of say to stray against arching your back in a lat pull down. And I firmly disagree with that because you're actually going to shorten the lat a little bit in the bottom position. And be able to get a better contraction by arching your back a little bit. Now, I would say at the top position, when you're emphasizing the stretch, you probably want to let go of that arch. You don't want to maintain that arch. You want to let your chest fold and you want to let that lat stretch out fully. But in the bottom position, I think it's okay to arch your back a little bit, aim that bar towards your collarbone, and really squeeze in your lats. So lots of information here that I didn't love. Some was okay. It wasn't as bad as the bench press or squat demonstrations, so I'll give them that. I'll give this demonstration a solid 6.5 out of 10. The squat and bench presses were like 2s. It was an exercise demonstration, and that's about it.
I'm not sure I want my back to look like that. I'm fine with it looking more like pavement than cobblestone.
Let's flex.
I promise that won't happen. Mr. Machio's class is pretty advanced. Everyone in there has devoted their entire lives to training. Those gains don't happen from a regular fitness workout.
Wow, so they've made it their lifestyle choice.
It's not just you. Most people who start training close to summer are afraid to lift heavy weights because they don't want it to make them look too bulky.
Man, what an absolute killer way to address this here. I really like this. I think this is kind of a common misconception and kind of a common thing that has been spewed among women their entire lives, that if you lift too heavy, you're going to get big and bulky. And kinda yes, like in some ways, if you lift heavy, you're gonna build muscle and you're gonna get like big and bulky, but it's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that happens by accident. People dedicate their entire lives to getting bigger and bulkier and more jacked. And like, it takes years and years and years. Like, ask the skinny little like broccoli heads in the gym. If you know, they accidentally could get too big, like they wish you could just accidentally like lift a 30-pound dumbbell instead of a pink 5-pound dumbbell and like automatically get too bulky, right? Like it doesn't work like that. It requires a lot of dedication. It requires a lot of progressive overload over years and years and years of lifting heavier. And it requires a lot of nutritional choices and a lot of dedication to get big like a bodybuilder. And it's not something that's going to happen overnight. You're going to notice like pretty fast if you are looking and feeling bigger than you want to feel. And if that's not your goals, that's okay. But you're probably not going to stumble upon that just because you implemented progressive overload. And I would argue that you still should progressively overload and lift heavier over time because it's a healthier thing for you. And when you reach a point where you're like, hey, like, you know, any bigger than this is too big, sure, then, you know, calm it down, maybe progressively overload less, maybe do different movements, eat less, all that kind of stuff. Well, my camera's about to die, guys. So thank you so much for tuning into this video. And if you like this video, please consider checking out this video here, or please consider checking out this video here. And peace out, guys.